Hello, I'm Philip Stoughton. I'm here on the Scoop Studio at Productronica 2017. I'm joined by Tom Forsythe from Kyzen. Tom, great to see you.
Great to see you.
Think of you as a cleaning company, but now you're turning into those data guys. What's that all about?
It's quite remarkable, and I think turning into it may be a bit of an overstatement, but of course we've always been focused on process control because our materials are dynamic, and if you're not paying attention to the process, it doesn't perform, and if it doesn't perform, as the supplier, we're probably not doing something well.
Yeah.
And the customer's not getting the value, certainly. So we've always been in this process control perspective, but never, and of course the data's been there, it's been lurking and downloadable and this and that locally. And over the last year or two, we've started poking at this with the idea of, all right, well, what about making that whole data visualization, data access, functions more available, and that's what's sort of bloomed. And it turns out that some of the systems we've sold for many years, well, they were a treasure trove of data that just needed a little water and fertilizer to analyze, and that's where the work's gone in. And now that whole idea of immediate access traceability, free traceability, the dashboard for alerts, interactive alerts where you get a text or a email, whatever it is you prefer. That whole idea is now, especially when we think about the engineer, the perception is they're sleeping on top of the machine. Well, generally they do have an office that is somewhat remote from the operation. Well, if you can get that alert, you can log in and look at all the data on your phone. You know what's gone on before you get there. Maybe you don't even have to get there because you know what's gone on. You can give an instruction to someone or send a maintenance fellow to do something perhaps. And that data in your hands thing is attractive, particularly since there's always a shortage of the proper engineers to do the many things they need to do.
Yeah, and I think relying on engineers, you get a different engineer on a different shift, you get inconsistencies, there are challenges there. You mentioned free traceability. For me, one of the keys there is not just the on-the-job traceability that you're using, but when you get an audit, not needing to spend a lot of engineering time to do that, being able to customize a dashboard or a report to be able to answer.
Absolutely, and this is a full data experience thing, right? So I go back, I've got this card, a complaint or an inquiry that came in from something several months ago. This is seconds or minutes as fast as your mouse runs. To click back to there, you get your data. Here's your screen. Here's all the data points. And if it's obviously a clean bill of health, well, there's not a lot of scrutiny that's necessary. But we've got a couple of different perspectives. The dashboard is the most interesting. But one of the things that the guys came up with is this idea of a line plot. Well, if you have a couple of dozen data points and you throw them all in a line graph where they're all parallel, doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out where the deviations are, right?
Absolutely.
Manipulate that a little bit, bang, you know where you are, you know if you're home, quick report, and you're done. Things that took hours or days to find the data, now the report's done in a few minutes.
Yeah. And that access to fast data is really important, but it needs to be actionable data. And to my mind at the moment, it needs to be shareable data. So
Absolutely.
How you share the data with other pieces of software, other parts of the industry is really important.
Well, we're collecting zeros and O's at this point, right? So, and we're moving that data into our cloud system, which means we can move it wherever it wants to go.
Yeah.
Once we've got it in that format that we can communicate it. The whole goal here is we're focused on cleaning. That's our thing.
Yeah.
Other people are focused in other spaces. That's their thing. Yes, the umbrella tools that are now more supply chain oriented, one imagines will become more operationally oriented, and we're going to want to be able to move that data. We don't think that's going to be problematic. Obviously, at some point, some standards will, come out. Our sense is that it's going to be less challenging simply because we're just measuring things.
Yeah.
You're turning a voltage into a number, and we don't. While that may be more challenging when you have 50 different pieces trying to sort it all out, we suspect that's going to be okay. And obviously we'll try to be involved in that, not as necessarily a driver, but we're very active in the committees and the standards things in various aspects of the industry. And this is just a new one, which is still emerging, I think. I'm not so sure there's there's a few things floating around. I'm not sure there's a convergence on one best path just yet.
No, there's definitely some movement. I think we're making progress now at a speed that the customers, the EMS guys are finding acceptable. So I think we'll get there on the standards. To me, what's important is we're getting this collaborative nature in the industry. But what's really important for me and what you said is you're the cleaning guys. So domain expertise, focus on domain expertise,
Absolutely.
Provide the data, but let someone else worry about
it. Put it in a context that, okay, this is this part of the process. We want to make sure that part is doing as well as it can. And obviously we share data to something higher up the food chain that allows things to go on. And I think that's reasonable, but I don't believe this is how these solutions really evolve. They come down, this is a grassroots type of solution coming from the sector experts. Just like the overall basket people have their expertise is in fact manipulating vast amounts of data on that higher plane, if you will. I think that's the way this is going to certainly begin, and who knows how it all ends.
Yeah, and it's your job to provide the highest quality data for your domain expertise. Tom, pleasure to see you. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.